Alright. Oh god. Probably want to back away.
Let's
see if I've done any better.
Oh god. Okay.
Luckily that all missed.
Yeah.
Take this.
I should...
We did it,
Oh,
man.
nice! Wow, that went so much better. I'm at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to proficiency at Souls-like games. I played both Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne at different points, but in both cases I quit the game after hours of failing to beat a single boss. After those experiences, I've come to regard those types of games with a certain level of dread, so when people were throwing around the phrase anime Dark Souls to describe Code Vein, I took that as a warning label rather than a sales pitch. And yet I did end up playing and beating Code Vein, and I wanted to go over why I enjoyed that game while I begrudgingly walked away from similar games in the past with the verdict that they may be good, but they weren't for me. Oh, thank you, Lewis. First and foremost, this is a team game even when you're on your own. At all times, you're playing alongside an NPC who will support you in combat. You actually do have the option to leave your potential ally back in base if you want to fight alone for a more authentic Souls experience, but in my case, I was more than happy to take the game up on its offer for help. Oh yeah, I want to try Mia as a partner. There are several NPC allies to choose from, though in my playthrough, I only ended up really ever using 2 of them for any extended period of time. Having that NPC with you takes a certain degree of the pressure off combat. You can for times just focus on dodging enemy attacks while your ally whittles away at the enemy's health, while other times your NPC ally will be the enemy's focus, allowing you to get in some relatively painless shots. Best still, when you die, your ally will sacrifice some of their own health to instantly revive you. This can potentially happen multiple times in a single boss fight, giving you a little extra breathing room when it comes to recovery from mistakes. On top of that, Code Vein also allows for 2-player co-op. Oh, a Revenant has responded to my request. Oh, hello Killjoy, we're gonna go on an adventure. The way it handles it is fairly easy to understand too. Simply go into the menu and send out a distress signal. Then someone else searching, provided they are eligible, can answer the call. I am very much in distress. Their level will be scaled to yours, but more importantly, they will fight with you in addition to your NPC ally, bringing your potential party size up to 3. If you're playing the game alongside friends, as I was, you can also set a password to make sure that a friend will always be the one who answers your distress signal. Having that co-op partner was a huge anti-frustration feature for me. It made it possible for a relative noob such as myself to continue through the game by at times leaning on my friends for support. There were several instances where I gave a boss quite a few attempts on my own, and occasions where I was successful in downing them, and that felt great. No! Yes!
Generate.
You did it.
Did you see that?
You had 13 health.
With 13 health left! I felt like over time I was getting a handle on the game, and while I still wouldn't call myself a good player by the end of Code Vein, I do at least feel competent. At the same time, when I did feel like I was bashing my head against a wall, when I felt lost or confused in a level, or when I was simply worried that I was falling behind my friends, I had the safety net of bringing in someone to help me. In a sense, it gave me a lot of control over how hard the game was without having a rigid difficulty setting.
Well, that was easy.
Wow. Yeah, that was a lot easier with you there. Now, multiplayer in a Souls-like game isn't unique to Code Vein, so you could argue that some of what made this easier to me is circumstantial. I had friends to play Code Vein with, I didn't have friends to play other Souls-like games with. I immediately understood how multiplayer worked in Code Vein, I didn't in other Souls-like games. Maybe under different circumstances, I might have been able to get further in Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne without ultimately quitting the game. However, there is one other factor that more firmly sets Code Vein apart from similar Souls-like games, and that's its plot. It's not just called anime Dark Souls because of its art style, it also has a very anime-like narrative. While Dark Souls like to tell its story passively, allowing you to soak in the world, pick up details about the items, and do some reading if you wish to get a better appreciation of the underlying lore, Code Vein is extremely narratively driven.
I won't listen to you anymore!
It's a game with a heavy story, complex characters, and dramatic twists. Some people really appreciate the Dark Souls hands-off take on storytelling, and that's fine, but for me, it was the story that helped encourage me to push onward, because I wanted that next story beat. I wanted the reward of the cutscene that lay just beyond the next boss. Particularly in the early to mid part of the game, when I was at my most uncomfortable with the Souls-inspired combat, that helped push me forward.
A dream?
I doubt it. I gotta assume that was a memory of some kind, or like a vision of what's actually happening elsewhere. At the end of the day, it took me about 35 hours to beat Code Vein, and I feel like I got my money's worth. Rather than get frustrated, many of my playing sessions lasted well over 5 hours, which is a testament to how invested I got. Its storytelling helped draw me in, the NPC partner helped make the game more forgiving, and the ability to summon one of my more skilled friends gave me the safety net I needed to move forward when I might have otherwise felt I needed to take a break. In a way, I view Code Vein as my potential gateway into other games of this type. Maybe this happened to be the perfect balance of the right timing, the right friends, and the right story to push me through the game. But after beating it, I'm looking back at Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne and thinking maybe I should give them a second chance. Maybe now I'll feel like they're for me.
Kiss Lewis verse. I can't. I can't. There. This is like the dorkiest stream ever.